Boxing King Media in association with Boxro. Dev, SAHNI, you tried your best to wind them both up and try to get them to do all sorts. I think you wanted the table to be flipped over today, didn't you?
I did. I'll give you a thumbnail first, just because I've got that. So there's your thumbnail. Yeah, did I want the table to be flipped? Yeah, of course I did. It was all right. It was all right. There was a nice bit of back and forth here and there. Chisora and Frank going back and forth was quite interesting. And yeah, look, it's always entertaining when it's the Tyson Fury Roadshow and he gets up there, he starts holding court and he says memeable things and viral things. And I think the 10 grand stuff was all very fun.
You touched on it there, so I'll start off with the whole Frank Warren and Derek Chisora thing. Very strange. I just spoke to Frank about it, and I said to him, as an outsider, I find it very odd, considering you got him a world title fight first time round against Klitschko, you got him another one today. You did manage most of his career and you let go of him because you felt they should have retired back then. So you showed some sympathy and care towards him, so I can't understand why he seems to have so much hatred towards you.
I don't know. I mean, that's you'd have to ask Derek. I did say up there that he's giving you your second world title shot, and he was like, "All right, mate, we know he's paying you." I was like, "Yeah." So that put me right back in my box. So yeah, I don't know. It's one for Derek and it's one for Frank, but I'll let them crack on.
Derek's obviously a volatile character. I think that'd be quite a fair assessment. Be honest, at any point whilst you sat next to him, were you thinking he could do something crazy? I could go flying.
I wasn't sure what to expect from Derek Chisora today, because I was in his gym the other day. We went to do some like promo stuff, get a few photos and stuff, and towards the end he was like, just don't ask me to do anything else. So that was kind of like my last contact with him. But today, yeah, it was all right. It was all right. He was fairly relaxed, and when Tyson and him started going back and forth, it was quite good. You just don't know what to expect, and it might be completely different in fight week. He might suddenly, I don't know, that table might get flipped. You just don't know with Derek Chisora. What you've got there are two of the most volatile characters in all of boxing, not just heavyweight boxing. So today I feel as though it was just a bit of an appetizer, and it's only going to get noisier. It's only going to get louder. And I'm seeing criticism of the fight. Of course, you expect some criticism, but you've got Derek Chisora there, who is undoubtedly one of the most popular heavyweights in the world. You've got Derek Chisora, who is coming off, in my opinion, a career best win against Kubrat Pulev. And you heard his promoter at the time say that he should fight Wilder next. I didn't agree with that. I don't think he should fight Wilder next. You heard his promoter say that he'd beat Deontay Wilder. I don't agree with that either. So with all of that being said, and with all that noise out there, and how this is war Chisora, and how perhaps he's a different fighter to who boxed Tyson 8 years ago, and Tyson's a different fighter as well, by the way. Maybe he can't move like he did in that fight. I think there will be a little bit of intrigue around this fight, and look, I'm looking forward to it.
You're referring to Eddie Hearn there, obviously.
Yeah, well, that's who he was promoting his last fights. But yeah, he said Chisora would beat Wilder. So what's the problem if we're making Fury versus Chisora?
Valid point. I think the fans are mainly upset about it because of going through the last two fights, 22 rounds they've shared, of which Derek's probably won 3 of them rounds, and the last 2-3 rounds that they were in together in the second fight, Tyson clearly took his foot off the gas and he was urging his corner to throw the towel in. And I think it was Frank Warren that went to, I forgot the coach's name now, but went to the coach and basically told him to throw the towel in, and he did. I think that's probably why the upset comes from.
Yeah, I mean, look, that was Del Boy. This is war. We have been told for years how actually that win that Tyson has over Derek Chisora back in 2014 has been discredited for many years. People are saying Chisora is much better now than what he was. So, okay, let's see if Tyson can beat this version of Chisora. Let's see if he can beat this version of Chisora, who just, by the way, in 12 rounds, again in my opinion, in 12 rounds gave Alexander Usyk more trouble than Anthony Joshua did in 24 rounds. We've been told he's a different heavyweight. Let's see if he's a different heavyweight. Let's find out.
And again, to be fair to you, I did score the Usyk-Chisora fight a draw. and I thought if it was going to go to anybody, probably Derek, just for the amount of pressure he had on Usyk. But
There you go. So what's the problem? Obviously, look, he's beaten him twice before.
that's the problem.
That's the problem. Okay, and so what I would say to that is the manner in which he beat him back in 2014 in particular was needing to be fleet of foot, was needing to keep away, was needing to box, was needing to move. You haven't seen Tyson Fury box like that since December 2018 for 11 rounds against Deontay Wilder. The 12th round of that fight, after he got up, he turned into this kind of bulldozer, which he then carried into the second Wilder fight and has carried into the rest of his career. He doesn't box and move like that anymore. This is in fact, I would say this is a style now that plays into the hands of Derek Chisora.
And then also the other point I wanted to raise was that Frank went through the BoxRec rankings in the press conference, which. Because I just said to him in the interview, why didn't you go through the WBC rankings, because they're a bit different. So I'll just chuck a couple of names at you. Obviously, Andy Ruiz is mentioned, Frankie Sanchez, but there's three other guys. There's number 4 was a WBC silver champion, a Russian who's based in Canada, Arslanbek Makhmudov, who's 15. I do love it because I like the whole Russian Drago thing. Yeah. Number 9 is Bakoli, and number 10 is a guy called Zan Kosabutsky, who's an 18-0 southpaw, which could have been good preparation for Usyk.
I'm sure it could have been, but you take the punter on the street and you say to him, Tyson Fury is going to fight Zan Kosabutsky, or he's going to fight Arsenalak, your Russian man there. No disrespect to them, I'm sure they're going to go very far in the sport. But you tell the man on the street that he's going to fight them, and they'll be like, okay, cool, it's just Tyson Fury. You tell the man on the street he's fighting Derek Chisora, they probably don't even remember that they've already boxed twice, in the same way that they didn't remember that Pulev and Chisora had already boxed and they got hyped about that fight. It's all about, at this stage, by the way, he's meant to be fighting Usyk first quarter of next year. He wanted to fight Usyk in December. Usyk wasn't around. He wanted to fight Joshua in December. The fight didn't happen. So where do you land? You land on someone that every British boxing fan knows, every British sports fan knows, and you've got a football stadium to do it. You need 2 dance partners, and that's where we are with it. And by the way, we've been told for years how much better Derek Chisora is than what he used to be.
And I think with that, because I didn't want this to be an interview, I wanted this to be more like an educational chat for people who are probably wondering why this fight is getting made. And I think we kind of hit the nail on the head there. Would you agree? So the guys who are in the rankings, either not available or unknown, and Tyson needs a fight. He wanted to fight in December, but it's got to be a guy that's going to make financial sense and it's going to sell to the British public.
I think it's that, and it's also, look, not many fighters will have an opportunity like this. Like, if they hadn't already boxed, you'd be like, all right, well, let's see the Chisora fight. And what I'm saying is, okay, we've seen them box twice before. Now we're looking at 2 different fighters. I don't think Tyson can box the same way that he did 8 years ago. And Chisora is a different guy as well. He's now Wye Chisora. I think you've got 2 famous heavyweights who are going to collide and do a bunch of tickets and a bunch of pay-per-views. And everyone who says that they won't watch, will watch.
I'll be watching either way. Final prediction from you, Dev?
I mean, obviously, my belief is Tyson Fury will win this fight, but I'm not liking the noises around an Usyk fight coming up. Like that's all well and good, right? But he should only be thinking about Derek Chisora, as Bob Arum said there as well. Once you start looking past people, that's when those people start becoming very, very dangerous. And if he takes his eye off the ball, Derek Chisora could well knock him out. As we've seen Derek Chisora with 1-punch knockouts before. You smirk. Yeah, I see you smirking. What about the Takam fight, right? What about when he had it stuck on him and suddenly pulled out a punch from the gun?
In my defence, a smirk is because I regard Deontay Wilder as probably the biggest punch in boxing history. Could not nail Tyson Fury down, so I don't think any man born of his mother, in Tyson's word, is going to knock Tyson Fury out.
So let me counter that by saying Tyson Fury has now done 3 fights with Deontay Wilder, the heaviest hitter in world boxing, perhaps in heavyweight history. So he's done 3 fights, 2 of them hard fights. What sort of miles do hard fights, hard punches from a heavy hitter like that put on the clock? One day we're going to find out. Maybe Derek Chisora will be the man to find out.
Let's see. But does he, though? It's a prediction from you.
I believe Tyson Fury will stop him.
How many rounds?
I think it will go into the second half of the fight. I think he'll do it quicker than what he did 8 years ago. That's ultimately where I land with it, but that's just because I believe Tyson Fury is the best heavyweight in the world. Joe Joyce is catching up with him, by the way. Joe Joyce is a nightmare. He's a nightmare.
Good man. We'll save that conversation for another day. Dev, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Good to see you.